Apex is an programming language which is in type of Apex, in database triggers. Okay. Database stored procedures. If you have idea on the database, like Oracle, SQL, something, there are something called stored procedures. Okay. The Apex is also like same stored procedure. When to use Apex? Apex can be used whenever you want to customize the logic. Whenever you want to customize the logic. And I'll suggest you guys to go with Salesforce Apex Developer Guide. Apex Developer Guide. Okay, just download this one, Salesforce Apex Developer Guide. If you do this one, latest version is 53. So go to 1.1, introducing Apex. Okay. Apex code is first multi-tenant on-demanding programming language for developers interested in building the next generation of business applications. Here you can see this Apex. Apex is a strongly typed object-oriented programming language that allows developers to execute flow and transaction control statements on Salesforce services in conjunction with the calls to the API. Using syntax that looks like Java. It looks like Java and acts like a database stored procedures. Apex enables developers to add business logic to the most system events. So you can read it out and you can understand. But I'll suggest this. What is Apex? Apex is a strongly typed object-oriented programming language, okay, which executes on the force.com platform. It looks like Java and it acts like as a stored procedures in the database. Okay. So when should we use Apex? So if there is no option to implement the functionality using the standard functionalities, or let's say out of the box components. Out of the box components means whatever Salesforce provides the features, whatever we learned till now, like profiles, permission sets, or say roles, email alerts, field updates, or whatever workflows, process builders, flows, okay, reports, dashboards, all these concepts we have learned. If there is a requirement which is not suitable to implement using the out-of-the-box components, then we can go for the Apex. I'll give an example. In the email alert or email template, if you want to create, you can access the parent field or same record field, but you cannot get the values from the children records. Okay, I want to send the email alert with the account and its related contact details, all contact details. That cannot be possible using the email alerts or stored, or email alerts or cross builders, or it may be the flows also. That cannot be possible. In that case, you can go with the Apex. Okay. So that's one example on this one. And one more important thing is in Salesforce, we have governor limits. Governor limits. What is a governor limit? Governor limit means we have already seen that Apex, or let's say Salesforce, is a multi-tenant architecture. It follows the multi-tenant architecture. Means your application, not only the app which is running on the Salesforce or force.com platform. There are lakhs of customers will be there. All users will be keep on using the Salesforce. same instance. Okay, if you see this, there will be different kind of instances. Okay, put the company information. This is the company information. In company information, it is organization edition is developer edition, it will be there, and instance is AP24. AP means Asia Pacific. Okay, Asia Pacific means which related to the China or Japan, Singapore, India, or it may be the Pakistan, or whatever it is, Bangladesh. All these will come under the Asia Pacific region. So that will say this AB24 is the instance what this organization is running. Okay, like that, in AP24 instance, there will be lakhs of developer organizations, lakhs of production organizations, sandboxes, everything will be there, right? In this case, what say if one user is taking 1 hour time to run the program, then others will be affected. The performance will be degraded. Okay. In that case, the Salesforce has implemented governor limits. Governor limits means one user can use this much time for a transaction, this much time for a transaction, and these many DML operations means on one user can use 100 records or something like this because of database utilization. Okay, if you are keep on trying to hit the database, okay, application is different for each and every user, but database is same. AP24 database is used for everywhere. Right? If you are trying to access that database for keep on accessing that for 10 minutes or 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, others will be logged. In that case, they have implemented the governor limits. I'll explain this later. Just understand you have to obey the governor limits while writing the code. This is the very, very, very important point. Okay. And there is a chance of what are the governor limits in Salesforce? They'll ask the question. Okay, I'll explain later. And then Apex is this. Okay. So using Apex, you can use the DMLs. Means if you want to create record, update record, delete, or undelete the record, you can use DML operations and using the Apex. And SOQL queries, if you want to query the records also, you can use. I'll explain this later. Have to use. So these are the different characteristics of Apex. Just try it and note down them. That's much important. Version settings. To use. See, so this is how Apex works. Means when you write the code from your computer, it will be on the computer. When you save the code, it will be stored in the database. And before that, Apex compiler will work on it. It checks that whether the syntax is correct or code is correct or something. If everything is correct, then it will store into the data storage. Else, it will throw the error to the user. Means that something is error is there. Go ahead and check it. Okay. And once it is stored, and then if you are running the program from somewhere else, from India or US, UK, wherever you are trying to get the functionality, then this will send the request to the Apex runtime environment, and that will get the compiled Apex into the Apex runtime environment, run it and give the result. Okay, so just this is just like a life cycle how it works. Don't need to worry about that. So create a developer sandbox. Best to note down. Data types. So here we have data types. What is a data type? Okay. Where you have created different kind of fields, right? Different kind of fields. What is email, text, text area, number, all are you have created. Number you have created, lookup relationship is created, then data type, I mean, formula fields you have created, master data you have created, emails. Okay, so these are called type of data which is storing. So I have already explained, right? The same way, what is a data type? Just note down that point. Is here it will not be there. Data type of data which we are going to store into a variable. Type of data which we are going to store into a variable. Okay. There are a lot of data types, but mainly primitive types, collection data types. There are two types of data types. Collection data types, enums, variables, constants. There are a lot of data types, right? Are you clear now, Ruti?
Yes, Anji.
Okay, you can start recording. See, data types means your type of data which we are going to store into that variable, the data type, and primitive data types called integer, double, date, date time, string, I, boolean. You can go here and take one by one. Primitive data types. Primitive data types. Blob, B L O B. Blob, boolean. Third, date. Fourth one, date time. Fifth one, decimal. Sixth one, double. Seventh, ID. Eighth one, integer. Ninth, long. 10th one, object. 11th one, string. 12th one, time. Okay. These are all called as primitive data types. Okay. Collection data types. Collections. Collections. Collection data types. List. List. Second one, set. Third one, map. Okay. So these are the data types you have to learn. Okay. Let's practice how to use, how to declare the variable, how to use this one. Okay. Now here, let's see. Very, very important thing is how to define a variable. Okay, variables. What is a variable? Write down. Variable is a temporary name. Variable is a temporary name which allocates some memory, or let's say some storage for storing a value. A variable is a temporary storage which is given a name to store some value. But how can you understand? Okay, types of variables, variable types. Local variables. Second one, instance variables, static variables. Local variables, instance variables, then static variables. Okay. So theoretical part is that much enough. Now let's go ahead some practical. Simple thing is, let's say I have two values. Write down local variables. Local variables inside the inside the inside the block, inside the block only, available inside the block only. How to declare syntax, how to create local variables, that is called syntax. Okay, there are two ways. One is data type, like this, data type, variable name, comma, sorry, semicolon. This is one way. And another one, data type, variable name equals to some value. You have to learn what are the different data types we have, okay, and what are the variables, local variables, how to create variables. Okay, so example, say if you want to if you want to declare one number variable, okay, let's say integer variable, data type integer, name whatever you want to give, let's say a semicolon, sorry, this one, okay, semicolon, integer a, that's it. That's syntax is done and variable declaration is done. And if you want to assign some value into the storage device, like storage variable, integer, data type, integer, variable name a equals to 10. Now what happens is, whenever you say that integer equals 10, A will be having the value 10 in the storage. Okay, now done. Let's say this is Salesforce storage. You can think that Salesforce storage. Now what you did is have created one variable. What is that? Integer A. That's it. Okay. Now what happens is in this Salesforce storage, see Salesforce storage, or say memory, platform memory, we can say. Platform memory. Inside this, when you say this integer A, right? Now what happens is it creates one simple block here. It creates one simple block and give you a name called A. But it doesn't store any value here. This is open. Okay. It allocates name. Then you are not storing any value here when you say integer A. Okay. Now the second one you are trying to do integer A equals to 10 means it creates some storage here. Okay. So some storage will be created when you say integer A equals. Inside that storage, 10 will be stored. Inside the storage, 10 will be stored. So that is the difference. Means next time when you say this A equals 20, then 10 will be removed and 20 will be added there. Okay, that's how it works. That is called platform memory. That's force.com platform memory. Okay, now here, if I want to perform, then A equals to 10, or let's say, sorry, so I need to perform one addition operation. Addition. Let's say I need to do 10 plus. Okay, now let's go ahead and do this inside the Salesforce. Okay, this one Salesforce application. If you go to the setup, careful, very careful. You have to be. There is developer console. And click on developer console. Then it will open in the side tab. Else it will open in the separate window. Okay, just keep here developer console. Okay, so in this one, the edit menu is there, debug is there, test is there, workspace, help. These are the menus we have, right? In this, if you want to create new components like Apex class, triggers, Visual Force page, Visual Force component, static resource, lightning applications, components, event tokens, whatever it is, new option. Open means if you want to open any existing component, you can use. Open resource also like open only. Open lightning resource means only lightning components can be opened using the open lightning resource. It's not there. Okay. Save all, close all. If you want all tabs will be closed. Find, replace are search in files. You can ignore this as well. Now let's go ahead and discuss the debug and open executed anonymous window. Okay, first one, first the thing is open execute anonymous. If you want to run some program here, will be clear and it will be written on this Apex execute anonymous window. You want to run some program, but you don't want to store that code, or if you don't want to save that code in Apex classes, then you can use Apex developer console. I mean, execute anonymous window is called execute anonymous window. Anonymous means which doesn't have any name. Don't need to give any name. That's how it will be. So very simple. If you want to print something like this is my Salesforce application or something, there will be one thing called system dot debug. System dot debug. This is my first statement. Here, execute highlighted is there. Execute is there. It's okay. There will be no problem. See, there should not be any spelling mistake for system or debug components, and this will be compiled with the program. But inside the single code, you can give anything. XYZ also I can give. There is no problem. Okay, state. Okay, now click on open. Don't click on open log. What happens is execute is done, but you won't see any output. Okay, execution is completed, but you have not seen the output. In that case, go to logs on the same screen, click on this. Now, this is the log which is created when you execute that code. Click on debug only, you will see the debug statements. This is my first statement. Okay, or if you want to see the debug log immediately, you can just click on open log and execute. Now, when that execution is completed, immediately log will be opened. You don't need to go to logs and click on this one. Okay, so this is the execute anonymous window. Okay, and make sure that for each and every statement should end semicolon, which is ending with semicolon. That's called statement. Let's say, see, if you give something different information like system, now TM. Okay, so this is how it works. Means if you give some error, it will throw the error. Okay, now we have seen that. Now I need to print that 10 or something. Okay, so the same syntax let's use. If you say this, the declaration of the variable, two types of variables, data type, variable. Let's say I want to declare string means text. String means text. String name. I am giving like this one. Now let's debug this system dot debug. Okay. Name is okay. So if you want to display, or let's say if you want to print some value which is related to the Apex variable, then you need to give, and after this single quote, give plus symbol, then give name. This is the syntax. Means if you don't want to print this text, you can just remove this and add it. Only name will be printed. Let's use this. Next one also, system dot anything name. Okay. Now you have not given any name, that you just declared a variable, but you have not given any value to that variable. So a space is allocated, but in that space we do not have any value. Means it is blank. Now if you open this, you execute this, see this one, null. If you don't give any value, that will be null. Null means nothing is there. Okay. Now let's use different one. And did you observe that if you don't give the single quote, I mean, see this, you have given only name. That's why only null is displayed. And when you give the text, then semicolon is ended. After that, you have given plus symbol and added the name field. The value will be displayed here. Now let's use the second one. Name equals to something. Okay. So when you use string should be inside the single quote. String should be inside the single quote. Whether you are using the text, or it may be the ID of the record, or it may be the date, whatever it is, it should be in the single quote. All will be considered as this one. Now let's say I'll give like 30. Okay. Now just execute. Here is name is Pratik. Okay, so this is how you have to execute this one. Now let's say here name equals to Pratik, and now you have to write down one thing like what is a program? A program is a group of, or let's say a set of statements. A program is a set of statements which executes in a sequential order, or let's say which executes in an order which perform a specific task, which performs a specific task. What is a program? A program is a group of statements which executes in a sequential manner to perform a specific task or a particular task.